Hello everyone, Nigat here, and welcome to another match of Littlewargame. Today I am bringing you a replay of a game that was played recently. It was a ranked match between PranksterGangster and DESTROYcall playing with the blue pieces, PranksterGangster playing with the red. The map we're playing on is called Cursed Temple. Again, it is one of the maps in our ranked pool. We do see that DC did decide to go for a little bit of a worker scout here. So he sent one of his workers to the other side of the map, and at the same time he's going for a barracks follow-up. I'm very curious to see if it will be archers or if it'll be raiders at this point. PranksterGangster hasn't started building anything just yet. Looks like he's going for his castle first opening, and then that usually transitions into beast play. But it looks like he's doing his best to try to PranksterGangster is trying to scout around his second base here to basically look for any proxies, look for anything that's going on. And we do indeed see that PranksterGangster does go for this second or this fast castle, and then he should be following up with a wolf den. Very curious to see if that's the case. DC did decide to go for a little bit more of a defensive option, so he's going into this worker scout right into these archers. So I think essentially what he's trying to do is just use one of his workers as a unit that he's going to be able to scout with, and then I think he's going to try to go for a low archer count, maybe a total of 2, so that he can potentially get to his second base. But it looks like that is not the case here. DC going for a very unique build. He's starting up his second castle, which means, or his second house, before his first castle is done, which means he's probably going to go for a production heavy build and see if he could potentially maybe cheese his opponent. Is that what he's trying to go for? Prankster does finish up his second castle. He does send one of his workers to try to ward away the scout. At the same time, DC is starting to send some of his archers to the other side of the map. So very quick archer play from DC. PranksterGangster following it up with his wolves. You're definitely going to want to keep all your wolves alive, especially as they start getting harassed by these archers. 3 archers is going to be more than enough to ward away one of these wolves. As these archers get closer, they do become more vulnerable to these wolves here. We do see that DC decides to start up a watchtower. PranksterGangster following that up by starting up a watchtower of his own, trying to get vision of the high ground here. Let's see if DC can see that. He currently cannot. And then at the same time, Prankster getting an additional watchtower. Basically wants to stay safe, does not want to lose any of his units. He does lose a wolf right there. Unfortunately for him, it looks like he will be able to finish this watchtower in time to keep these archers away from his expand. And then it looks like this watchtower is going to be able to attack this house, and PranksterGangster is probably going to be supply blocked unless he builds another house, which he does. DC looks like finally decides to go for his castle over in this location, and at the same time DC is microing. He has a bird, so I don't know if he knew that this was getting constructed, but DC did decide to build a bird, and as a result, DC has vision of this watchtower now, and he's still able to shoot it even though he doesn't have vision of it right this second. It does go down. Does DC know that it's down? DC does not know that it's down, and so these archers are basically attacking into nothing right now. Very curious. I don't think I've ever seen that interaction before with the vision. Prankster tries to go around. It looks like he's trying to go for a flank. Probably not the best idea considering that this watchtower is still up. Watchtower provides a ton of support. These wolves are melting away unless DC is able to kill a good amount of these archers, which it does look like he's able to do. I'd kind of suggest, yeah, backing off for just a second more. More wolves will be able to come out, and this watchtower is here for defense, so it's not like DC can really progress against this position. As long as PranksterGangster keeps up his wolf production, he should be okay. Looks like DC did find a little bit of a weakness in PranksterGangster's position, and at the same time, DC is at home building a fortress at his second castle, so he's not really interested in getting workers very much. He's actually more interested in getting his tech going, and at the same time, PranksterGangster is also getting tech, but that is in the form of some snake charmers. So maybe not the most powerful tech compared to what DESTROYcall is going for in these dragons. You can notice that DC's production has kind of subsided a little bit. He's only got 3 archers here. This watchtower is doing a lot of work, obviously, but he is only really producing out of 1 Rax, essentially so that he can save up the money to get to his tech, which is about to finish up. At the same time, PranksterGangster going for this attack, this worker block, deciding to build a workshop right here, is going to be functioning as a blocking position. So very, very unique to see from DESTROYcall to use his worker in that way and starting to build these buildings to block that. Notice that he also did hold position micro, so that was kind of bugging out the wolves while that whole interaction was going on. DC continuing to build archers, and now he does have these dragon layers coming up. He's building 2 at a time, and now he's starting to get back on that worker production. So let's go ahead and take a look at the worker counts really quick. So PranksterGangster has more workers. I think I was suspecting this for a while. So he has more workers. A little bit of a supply block from PranksterGangster, but he's okay. Ooh, and he even got a 3rd base. Oh, that I did not even notice that. So he's been getting ahead in terms of economy, and very soon he should be really ahead. I'm just curious to see if he's able to turn that economy lead into maybe a little bit more of an advantage for himself. He is at risk of losing that worker. This building is very difficult to attack because it's blocking the watchtower so well. Ooh, oh no. PranksterGangster definitely does want to attack this watchtower. He just needs to do it from the high ground where he's safe. And now he should be able to do it pretty soon. He does start building it. He might actually be attacking both buildings at once. He is. So Prankster microing his catapult at the same time. Prankster is moving in against these archers. DC queuing up a catapult, but notice that Prankster is attacking this section that covers both the watchtower as well as the the workshop, and as a result, he's able to get double the damage out of these catapults. He does need to start attacking this worker if he wants to kill this watchtower. He is able to do so, and as a result, immediately of losing that worker, DC decides to cancel that catapult that was building, and now we do see that two dragons lairs are producing. So we've got 2 dragons on the way, and then DC is building a tower at home, definitely feeling like he needs to play this a little bit more defensive. He does not know that he's currently a full base behind, and he is getting out incomed by his opponent. However, there is no defense for the dragons in PranksterGangster's base. He is going to be caught unaware. There is a watchtower over in this location, and an advanced workshop is going down. But as far as the worker line is concerned, there is no defense in this location. Once this advanced workshop is finished, a ballista should be on its way. He has the money for it, and PranksterGangster does queue it up. These snakes are also here to try to defend, but they're not very good against dragons. A little bit of negative micro here, actually, from PranksterGangster, and we do see additional dragons coming in on the side of DESTROYcall to do a lot of pressure. The real trick now is going to be if PranksterGangster can survive until this ballista is up, and once it is up, he's going to need to make sure to repair it with his workers so that he doesn't lose it, so that he can stay safe. Ballista into airship should be the play. It looks like it's going to be a secondary ballista. Workers should be on auto repair to some regard. They are, and they are starting to do some damage to DC here. At the same time, we do see that PranksterGangster is on the other side of the map. He is moving around with his archers and some workers. At the same time, this ballista is staying alive, but it looks like DC is now targeting workers. Looks like he's just trying to get a worker advantage and trying to go for a castle advantage as well. But PranksterGangster does find that his opponent's army was moving across the map, and he decides to take this engagement against these archers. Obviously, any engagement that you can get with, or any trades you can get with wolves into archers is highly valuable, as archers are almost twice as expensive as wolves. It's just a matter of getting the micro down. Does look like a second ballista was able to come out, but a lot of workers did die during that whole time. DC is doing a fantastic job of targeting down these workers, but he's also lost a couple of dragons, I'm assuming. Let's take a look. 5 dragons lost. I don't know if that's worth it. Now it's 6. I don't think it's worth killing like 10 workers for 5 dragons. That's a lot of gold that DC's put into the dragon investment, and now it looks like he has finally decided to pull back. Once PranksterGangster has this airship, he will be able to micro these ballista around and really stop DC from putting any more pressure anymore. And at the same time, PranksterGangster does have this watchtower at his third base, so he is mining a lot, he is producing a lot. PranksterGangster, with a really good play so far, is able to perhaps pick off this house that was placed there, and then at the same time, PranksterGangster with this airship being able to micro against these dragons, needing to pick up, and then drops the ballista. One more shot with the ballista will do, and DC is microing it, but does end up losing that dragon there. We do see a lot of dragons are starting to clump up together. Would really love to see that black powder upgrade come on as fast as possibly could get it. Workers should be on auto repair, so that if these dragons do target down the ballista, those workers will just automatically heal the ballista. A little bit of a micro battle going on between the ballista and the airship. So dragons really, really want to be killing this airship to get rid of the maneuverability that the ballista has. And now workers on auto repair should be going back to their gold mine very soon, and they in fact do. At the same time, DC, or PranksterGangster rather, has wolves at the expand to basically get the information whenever DC is going to start expanding again. Do see more dragons coming together. PranksterGangster starting to produce or place down some more production buildings. At the same time, he's kind of floating a lot of gold. DC keeping his gold low, which is good to see, but PranksterGangster floating about 600 gold, it looks like 400 now. He really needs to make sure that there is some sort of air defense with this army, and he does bring it with the airship. So this is the value that the airship brings to the ballista, able to defend the third base location, and now able to bring the ballista back to this location as well. Essentially, as long as these ballista are able to fight dragons, PranksterGangster should be getting a lot of value from that because of how strong ballista can be. But DC was spending a lot of time basically trying to go for those ground units rather than the ballistas themselves. PranksterGangster doing a really good job of scouting around, trying to get some information. At the same time, he's moving up with his main army, he's dropping his ballista so that these guys can start killing the dragons. You'll notice, again, as I mentioned before, that dragons are going to want to target fire down that airship so that these ballista are far less maneuverable. But he kind of needs to keep these dragons here so that he can defend his main base. Ballista are here against the main threat of the dragons. Wolves are also here against the main threat of the catapults. Catapults doing a really good job of attacking those ballista that are on the ground. You'll notice that they do a lot of damage, so they're able to kind of to hit those guys. Worker here doing a lot of pressure, and then again, those wolves. A little bit of a micro battle where DC's workers are set to repair the catapult, but that wolf was trying to get in and do a little bit of damage there. At the same time, we do see that PranksterGangster got a 4th base, started macroing up, so he got some more army. He's going to need a little bit more ballista now, so he does. He has that airship still. I'd love to see him get another ballista, and he has one queued up, so he knows. He knows that he's going to need another ballista at some point. And then again, that upgrade for splash damage would be really, really impactful here for PranksterGangster. Do see a little bit of damage coming through. So workers are getting attacked. Ballista doing a little bit of a good job. DC just pulling his workers back. At the same time, we see that PranksterGangster moving forward with a lot of his beast units, basically attacking into a catapult army here. That's not always the best idea, especially as catapults excel at this kind of fighting where they have some unit tanking for them and they're able to do a lot of damage from the rear. We also see that the ballista are getting some value. Ooh, Prankster with a little bit of ballista micro. Basically, can he pick it up? He did, yeah. A little bit of ballista micro, which is nice to see, and he saves it. Very, very well played by PranksterGangster to get the maximum amount of value out of that airship with the ballista there, or yeah, actually the reverse, maximum value out of the ballista with the airship. So very good to see from him. Looks like PranksterGangster did decide to tech into catapults, so he's noticing that he's having a really hard time sieging down DESTROYcall's kind of position. Ooh, DESTROYcall not producing anything. Maybe he's trying to save up for another base. It is the case. He is trying to save up for another castle. Looks like he's trying to get his 4th up and running. Yeah, DC's kind of an interesting player in this regard. He's perfectly willing, just from what I'm watching, he's perfectly willing to sacrifice his eco to try to get some sort of advantage in terms of winning the game. Like, he's fine sacking or being a base down if he's able to get the units needed to create a lot of damage. And as a result, we have situations like this where your opponent has a little bit more macro than you, so he's got more castles than you, but you've got a good army composition. And here we do see that DC is starting to micro this. He's got workers available for him if he decides to send those to repair. Love to see PranksterGangster kind of just manage this fight a little bit better. Looks like he might be somewhere else. He might be at home macroing. If that's the case, definitely really hard to approach this this army here unless you have catapults of your own, or unless you have mages to try to dislodge a location like this. So he might have to decide what to do now. He's already teched into catapults. He's already got a lot of bases. He's got the ballista for the dragons. Here we even see a ballista being sent out to kind of deal with this dragon over here. But I'm really curious to see what PranksterGangster decides to do next. He's going for attack upgrades, and DC is just going for straight mech. Like that is all he's going for now. He's stopped building dragons. He's not interested in dragons anymore. He might have like one dragon still around. That's a lot fewer than what he had earlier. But now he's just transitioning straight into mech. He's got, 3 workshops here in advanced workshop. The moment he decides to go for airships, he's able to do some drops, and he is going for this black powder upgrade. I wonder if PranksterGangster has gone for that upgrade. Not just yet. He is going for beast attack upgrades as of the moment. So we do see that DC is moving across the map. PranksterGangster has some army. Doesn't look like he has a lot. It's 93 supply versus 94 supply. Both of them are floating a good amount of gold here. This airship providing information for this ground army. If PranksterGangster is able to kill that airship, these catapults will be free to fire, but that airship does stay alive. Those ballista were destroyed. So much of this has to do with the positioning battle. Oh boy, PranksterGangster, he has 4 ballista at home, but those are not going to be useful against a catapult army like this. Just the complete wrong army composition. I think he just didn't understand that his opponent was transitioning into Mech, and as a result, he just doesn't have the right army. If this was mono dragons, then PranksterGangster would be so far ahead. He'd actually be winning this like crazy, but that's not the case here. He's going for a Mech army. He's going for catapults. He's sieging down his opponent's base. PranksterGangster has some units on the other side of the map, but they're not really doing anything here. He's basically forced to take a very defensive position with his own catapults, and then see if he can get some value there. It cannot. These catapults are amazing at just completely just demolishing these units. We do see that the airship went down, so now any catapults on the high ground will be able to fire freely without any repercussions. We can even take a look at the vision of Gangster versus the vision of DESTROYcall, which DESTROYcall can't really see up this ramp. We do see that PranksterGangster did decide to pull some workers, and now he's sending his workers into this army to try to knock out the rest of these catapults. But Prankster lost a lot. He still has this base up, but he lost a lot of workers. The workers at his second base, the workers in his main base he lost, and he even lost his second castle in general. Tremendous loss. DC is regrouping basically after taking that fight. He decides to regroup. Catapults fire. They miss all of their shots, so PranksterGangster might have an opportunity to come in and try to get some surrounds. We do see that DESTROYcall decided to go for a little bit more Gatling guns now, probably to provide support with their caltrops and being able to deal with things with very maneuverable units like the wolves. We see even more wolves actually coming for a surround now. This is actually very dangerous for DESTROYcall. This looks like it could be a problem, and he does in fact lose that ground army that he had. So PranksterGangster is able to recover. Let's take a look at the income now. So between both of them, PranksterGangster has mined about 20,000 resources. DC has mined about 1,700 resources. However, PranksterGangster has lost about 2,000 more gold than his opponent DC, which means that PranksterGangster should be about 1,000 gold above, or should have about 1,000 gold more than his opponent at this stage of the game, just because he's been mining so many bases and doing a really good job of diligently setting up his bases to be in good positions. We do see that his second base was pretty much mined out already. He is trying to continue his expansion, so let's go ahead and take a look at the worker count. So it is 29 workers for DC on 1, 2, 3 bases, so about 10 workers per base, whereas for PranksterGangster it is 28 on a similar amount of bases, 3 base. So we can essentially think of this as 3 base versus 3 base, 3 base Mech versus 3 base Beast. DC decides to go back into that Dragon Tech. I'm very curious to see if that's going to cause Prankster to build the Ballista, and it is. Pretty much immediately once he started seeing dragons again, he started building these Ballista again, so he should be reverting to almost like a mid-game state pretty soon here. But DC is going to be able to utilize the strength of defense that a mech army is able to give you here. So again, dragons, let's take a look at the gold. So floating about 200 gold versus Prankster, who's floating about 1,000 gold. I really hope he gets on his macro soon, whether it be to build additional production. How many? That just mined out. Hopefully he can see that soon. Yeah, PranksterGangster, I like his position as long as he would be producing and keeping his gold down. That's one of the hardest things to do, is to micro like 1,000 things, to set up your macro, while at the same time, expanding and then playing on the map. Like, there's so many things to do. Oh, looks like he does have some production. Maybe the next step for him is to get some werewolves potentially. That could work pretty well for him, I think. He does move to the other side of the map, so this base is extremely well defended. We do see that DC has these watchtowers here. Very difficult, very, very difficult for wolves to attack into. DC does bring the dragons back. We don't see any ballista with them. They're actually at home still. But at the same time, we see that the wolves are coming in. The caltrops that these Gatling guns are putting down are extremely beneficial for this defensive mech player. And it looks like PranksterGangster decides to GG out, which makes DESTROYcall the victor in this ranked game between PranksterGangster and DESTROYcall. So very, very well played. Both of them playing extremely well, and yeah, both of them playing an exciting match on Cursed Temple. If you enjoyed that video, please leave a like, and if you want to continue to see some additional Little War Game content, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.